Welcome back for another trip. We've loved Padstow, we've had a great stay here and we've made some excellent friends. We've been moored with Carita. Tim was the skipper and Neil was the crew. Carita is a blue water cruiser. She's a Tradeswinds 25. They've got several hundred miles to go before they get to their home port, and we've got a couple of hundred left ourselves. Well, we say our last goodbyes. We're both going to depart at midnight together, and when we get to the estuary, they're going south and I'm going north. Lisa helms us out all the way beautifully in the dark. This is Carita's mast light behind me. Departing Padstow in the pitch black is quite straightforward because the River Camel is quite a straight river. It might have a little bit of a kink in it, but there's no real dog legs. We both set off together. I took the lead and headed down the Camel. From Padstow across the Doom Bar, down the main channel and then out into the sea. Once clear of the majority of the lobster pots, we parted company. We had a light easterly, so we got the motor off and then just sailed along gently. I find I'm all eyes in the dark, searching round me for anything at all I can see. When you look back at the land, you can actually see light just in the clouds above where the land was, but all the actual lights of the land have disappeared. Possibly a little bit of cloud or mist now covering them. Still in all, the sensation of sailing in the pitch black is quite a good one and hard to beat. The Padstow lifeboat goes out to a yacht stricken by engine failure not far from us. The yacht was called Gabrielle and I think it was from South Wales, and it was to be towed back into Padstow. The only two boats I had on the screen in front of me was the Arrow, which is a fishing boat, and the shape of a house on Monopoly is a cruising ship, both of which are not threatening in any way. With the tiniest bit of light getting through the clouds, the camera starts picking up a bit of an image. See by the light on top of my mast that it's still quite dark out, but it's creeping through with a bit of light. Those lights in the distance are the cruise ship coming along ahead of me. We've got no chance of a collision. He's doing 8 knots and I'm doing 5 knots, so we can avoid each other without any problems, I'm sure. As we're in open water and I'm sailing, that makes me the stand-on vessel, so the cruise ship would have to give way to me, but he doesn't. He puts another half a knot on so that I'm going to pass his stern. The fishing boat is going round and round in circles, so I presume he's dragging a net in his favourite area. And as you can see, the Monopoly-shaped house sailing along in front of me is just about to pass my bow. That's the cruise ship, ahead of me on my port bow now. Won't be long. It looked like it had already passed my bows on the chart plotter, but looking out the cockpit, he's still on my port bow. Well, how can that be? That comes about because of tide. I'm actually crabbing a little bit. You know, slipping sideways. The ebb, it's slowly moving me to port, whereas he's punching it, so his course is more or less constant. As it begins to dawn, you can actually see a bit further. You get a bit more confidence when you can see a bit more further, and you can definitely see the ship passing the bows now. I look up the mast and I think, what's happened to me tricolour on the top? It doesn't seem to be lit anymore. It was definitely lit earlier, so I think I'm being a bit of a stealth boat at the moment. Another thing to add to the list of repairs, that's either a fuse or a bulb, which is a trip up the mast, always good fun. As dawn appears, the sea seems to get a little bit more wind on it and pick us up a little bit with a bit more speed. And we do need it because we've got no favourable currents at all on this trip. We see a sailboat going the opposite way. It's the first sailing boat we've seen all night, and we won't see another one all day either. He's obviously off to Padstow. Today's forecast was an easterly, force 3 to 5, becoming 2 to 4 variably. We've now got 15 knots on the beam, and we're making 6 knots over the ground, so I'm pretty happy. We've only got 40 miles left to run, and we should eat that up quite quickly. Because the boat's so well at looking after itself, we seem to spend a lot of time inside it, and we're outside very rarely because it's a little chilly outside, and a little sprayish rain, so we may as well stay warm and dry. I'm standing here with a cuppa in the saloon in a lovely warm. It's a nice way to be sailing. The wind is picking up outside. It's not supposed to be on the forecast, but it has been, and so's the swell. I think the sea is absolutely gorgeous when it's aquamarine. Even better than the blue day when it's blue reflecting off the skies. And much better than when it's grey reflecting off the skies. It's aquamarine today. The swell seems to be increasing a little bit, and I find Swallow just rolls with it. She quite enjoys it, and it's a comfortable motion on board. Lisa said to me just before, she said, "I seen a dolphin out the window and a little baby dolphin with it." So I've come out with the camera to have a look for them. But they're not here at the moment, unless they're swimming underneath the boat or at the bows, and I don't feel like a trip down there. So I go back inside in the warm and I take a seat. And it's not long while I'm sitting there and I think to myself, what was that in the corner of my eye? So I get the camera and there it goes, jumping round outside. There's a little dolphin. Whee! It keeps swimming underneath the boat and round the sides and round the back. Then I realised there's actually a few more knocking round. That's probably mum and dad if the kid's playing with us. All this is while sitting inside from the comfort of my chair. Lisa's just corrected me. She said a baby dolphin isn't a kid, that's a goat, it's a calf. Still their kid, I'm sure. Swallow's absolutely loving this. It's shoving herself along with no problem whatsoever. I don't think we've been heeled this much in the boat yet since we've had it. She's still got all her canvas up, and we've got a steady 4/6 on the beam. I think reefing's going to come about soon. Swallow's doing her job, very grand. Passage making like a first class boat. We haven't veered off a straight line in all this distance. She hasn't twitched once. Credit where credit's due. Even in a bumpy sea she holds her course perfectly. Hey, they're back. I did see them. There they are. They're jumping round about us. I think there's a few more than one little family now though. As I look round there seems to be quite a few of them. Jumping about our bows and our stern and swimming underneath us. All the best video footage though doesn't take place because wherever you point the camera, they're not there. They're behind you jumping. But when you turn round and point the camera somewhere else to where they were, then they're jumping where you just had the camera. You don't know where to keep it still. This sea's getting lumpier. I've put a reef in the mainsail now, and I've put a couple of twists on the foresail too, just to keep the boat balanced, especially as now that we're getting 30 knots of wind on the beam. Again, the forecast was for about 12 knots of wind, but that was within 12 miles of the shore. But we're slap bang in the middle of the Celtic Sea, so I suppose you could expect something a little bit different. Nevertheless, Swallow loves it, and I love it too. With a constant 30 knots outside, we've gone to a bit of a moderate sea, but it's still comfortable inside, so that's all that matters. We make the Milford Haven estuary within 13 hours, which I actually think is quite respectable for any sailing boat. We pass the correct side of the turbot bank buoy to avoid any overfalls, but I don't think there would be much. And then we move into the smaller channel of the two, the one which is on our starboard going in. We stay on the side of it because we read in pilotage that you're supposed to, and if any big ships come, you're supposed to move just outside the channel. We're lucky because I can't see any big ships coming in or going out on the AIS, but I can see two tugs waiting for one. It's obviously on its way, but in the mist I can't see it. I was glad to see the Green Hills of Wales appearing, even if they were Green Hills of South Wales appearing. So I hadn't slept for over 24 hours, and I was dreaming about having a dream. It's a proper miserable day outside. As you can tell, I'm sitting here inside, doing my video, and it's raining like hell. That's a starboard buoy. And behind it is a lobster pot boat. There's where my nightmares come from. This is a North Cardinal. It's got two little hats pointing upwards on top of it. That's pointing north. You stay on the north of it and you're safe. The Milford Haven River is very commercial, very industrial, with a lot of ships and a lot of big objects in it. But it's home to a lot of people. The marina's coming up on our port side now, and the lock's actually open, so we can sail straight in. Once in the marina, we find our berth quite easy and tie up. The marina looks quite nice with a lot of big buildings around it. Restaurants all along the front, pubs and the likes. Looks a very nice place to spend a bit of time.
No pressure, Mike. I'm just going to film you, okay?
I think you're scared of me. I'm just going to post it on YouTube.
Gonna put it on YouTube if you make a balls up of this. Oh, he's got a bow thruster. That is such a cheat. Selma Chile has got a bow thruster. After all these years of me thinking he was the world's greatest seaman, he's right, I'm going to stop now.